What up? What up? Welcome to the Grit and Grind Show, brought to you by the In Off the Bench podcast. I am your host, Daniel Ball, and this is a new year, and we're starting off strong. We're going to be talking to Jazmin Simpson of the Orlando Aces today. Not only is she an all-star for the 2024 United Grid League season, but she's also the 2024 Rookie of the Year. So a lot to unpack with all that. But before we bring Jazmin into the fold, we gotta attend to the business, pay the bills around here. We got some sponsors. It's a new year, and what a way to start off a new year than with some new, fresh product. Chinook Seedery, 8 flavors, mild to wild. Whether you're on the field or in the boardroom signing deals, Chinook helps you get the job done. Memphis City Designs, get your brands, gear, and logos on everything from shoes to underoos. You can still get your in off the bench gear. Supplies are limited because they've been going hot, but make sure you get your hoodies. That cold snap's coming in, and it's coming in hot, especially for y'all folks in Florida. Don't think you miss it, because it's coming. In a couple of days, you're going to be feeling it. So make sure you're bundled up with the right gear. Relief Chiropractic. Go see my boy, Dr. Vic Robinson. He's got the magic hands. He's rejuvenating people. He's adding years to their life. Go see him. I promise you won't be disappointed. And finally, Old Dominick Distillery. Experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis. From bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin, Old Dominick's got you covered. Stop in today for a tour or just to pick up your favorite bottle. And with that, the bills have been paid. Now we can get on to the biggest interview in podcasting this week. Orlando Aces star, Rookie of the Year, and All-Star, Jazmin Simpson. Jazmin, what up? How we doing?
Jazmin is doing great. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I am blessed. It's a new year, and I got a new intro. I got fresh guests. I mean, the Grit and Grind Show is going to be popping this year.
Listen, I'm here for it.
And you are the first. So you're setting the tone or paving the path, however you want to put it. Like you're first up. So
awesome.
I'm interested a little bit when I do some digging, and I say digging, I go to the website and I take a look at your bio, and the bio says that you were a gymnast. And so I have 2 daughters. I have a 7-year-old and a 19-month-old, and the 7-year-old has been doing gymnastics for a few years. And she's been doing it for a while. She's starting teams. She's getting into all that. But with you, I read something interesting. You started at 10, which is a little bit late for gymnastics. And
for sure.
You go on to say in your bio it was something where had you had started earlier, it might have taken a different route for you. But being a dad and being, I'm trying not to put a lot of pressure on, but I did start my daughter like very early at gymnastics. So is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Like, from your experience starting at 10, was it a good move for me to start my daughter when she was like 2?
Man, absolutely. If I would have started gymnastics probably around that age, I think I would have stuck with it a lot longer, and I could have gone a lot further. But because I did start later in life, like I didn't have the discipline to stick it out, because, my friends were, doing other things. And I was just like, this is my lifestyle is not indicative of having fun right now. Gymnastics was the sole priority. And I just got burnt out on, even though I hadn't been doing it long, but because I didn't start at that super young age, I was just like, I don't even know that this is going to be something that I'm going to stick with for a super long time. So I transitioned out of that. I do wish that I would have started earlier. My daughter, we have kind of put her in gymnastics starting out when she was like 3 or 4. We took a break from it, but I think that she's going to continue down that trajectory, and hopefully she will stick with it for longer than I did.
Well, the good news is like, unlike me, like I don't know a single thing about gymnastics outside of gymnastics CrossFit elements. I don't know anything about the technical, doings and nuances of gymnastics. So you have that, you've been in it, you've done it. So you kind of know you can help coach her through it. But for me, I'm just like, just don't get hurt.
Exactly. And that you just keep that mindset, be that supportive dad, and just keep pushing her as long as she's having fun, because that honestly I stopped having fun because I wasn't doing anything outside of gymnastics. So I was like, I need to do something else.
we on the In Off the Bench podcast, we have another show, Bats and Beams, and we really talk to a lot of college baseball players, but also college gymnasts. And all the gymnasts say the same thing: is
Mm,
college, you have to get back into where it's fun, because we have girls that are the best of the best, national champions in college, but they were going to world championships and they were competing at super high levels, trying to make Olympics. And, they get to a point where they say it starts not being fun. And going to college allowed them to get to a culture where it became more fun. And you see the
yes.
fruits of that because they end up winning national championships. I mean, we have athletes from Oklahoma who, in my opinion, this year in every year outside of last year is the best gymnastics team over the past
Nice.
6-7 years. So they're really getting after it, but it really hits home what you said. It's you just make sure she's having fun, make sure she's
100%.
safe, and just make sure she's having
Exactly.
fun.
Yep, that's the thing
But
is the fun and the safety and also just the environment that she's in when it comes to her coaches, making sure that they are pouring into her in a way that she will enjoy it.
yeah, and you transitioned from gymnastics into cheerleading, and I mean, you were Team USA, you went to college. I mean, you were a world champion in cheerleading. Was that did that kind of scratch the itch for you for
Yes.
competition?
100%. And it's so cool that you bring that up. And it's funny about my bio because my coaches were like, nobody, I don't think in the history of grid has a bio as long as yours. And I didn't know. I'm just like, I just put my story in there so that if anybody had questions, they would kind of know my background.
I trust me, I appreciate it, because there are some SIDs at big. I'm not throwing any universities or colleges out there, but we'll just say they've got plenty of money around those schools, SEC schools, and there's no bios, there's no up to date, there's no
Thank
nothing,
you.
and so it's like
Exactly.
it's so aggravating. But like I get it, like
Yeah,
you gotta. That's part of my job, is to dig and find the information during the interview.
for
But
sure.
obviously you transition, you scratch the itch of competition, and then that kind of gets to a point where I don't know how far you can take gymnast or cheerleading, but you took it probably as far as you saw it
For
going, and
sure.
then you do what every competitive person that needs something new does: you go to CrossFit.
Exactly.
And being a baseball guy, after I was done playing and I was tired of like the mundane of the Globo gym atmosphere,
Mhm.
I did the same
Yep.
thing. I
Yes.
needed the competition itch scratched. And you get and I'd say the bio says it was 5 years ago. Was that true? 5 years ago you
Uh,
got into CrossFit?
yeah, yeah, it was probably at this point, probably 5 or 6, yeah, at the
I
most.
mean, that's relatively youthful in CrossFit years.
For sure.
I mean, your body must be holding up great. I mean, all these other
Good
folks
point.
out there doing it 10, 12 years. I mean, myself
Listen,
included, like it takes a toll on you, but you definitely got to have a good recovery system. But
well, and to kinda piggyback on that, I will be 40 in April, so I am an older.
get out,
I
get
am not
out.
lying to you. I'm 39 years old, will be 40 in April, and my body does not hold up very well. I'm not gonna lie.
Let,
I have
let
been
me let me
injured
tell you this.
so much during this season, nobody would ever know.
I'll give you some cup half full here.
Okay.
I just turned 40 this year.
Heck
All
yeah.
right. And there's no different than 39. It's all the same. Like, I would say I didn't start feeling different in my competitive CrossFit days until I turned 30. And then once I turned 30, there's been zero difference between 30 and 40. It's just
Listen,
been
I agree with
if
you.
you
30, yes.
if you're going to do certain movements like snatch, be prepared to take a long time preparing to do one.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. My body, yeah. I feel like 30 was kind of the turning point of recovery and feeling oh, everything hurts. I've got to take more time. I've got to sleep more. I've got to eat better and like just stay on my, recovery protocols. And yeah, I mean, now in the 40, I'm just like, here we go. It's just kind of going down here.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said age is just a number, and
It is.
you make it what it is. And if you buy into, you're old and you're falling apart, then you'll probably be old and falling
Say
apart.
that
So
again.
you got
You
to
are
take good
absolutely
care of
right.
yourself.
That's right.
That's why I do 30 and 35-minute AMRAPs, because my people are like, "Why do you do that for so long?" And I'm like, "Because it takes me about 15 to actually get warmed up and ready to move, and I don't want to waste my warm-up time. I just want to count that as part of the workout." So
Exactly. You're onto something.
there you go. And a lot of my AMRAPs will be progressively like moving up in weight, and that's the beauty of programming my own stuff and being
Awesome.
40, and I
Yeah,
can do whatever I want when it comes to
exactly.
working out. So but we got to get into it. Obviously, for someone who has the accolades that you've accomplished over the past year, but also just the hard work you put in, you you are claiming, and I say claiming because I haven't seen it, but I'm going to ask you: 300-pound front squat, 250-pound clean and jerk, 400-pound deadlift, and a 270-pound split jerk.
Yes.
All of which is more than I can currently do right now. So congratulations. I feel great.
Thank you.
No, that is impressive. And I tell this to all the athletes, especially our female athletes that come on, is that when I hear things like that, it makes me proud, because now I have a story to share with my two girls that you could do anything. Like,
Oh, don't make
you
me
can
cry.
absolutely do anything.
Thank you.
And that's awesome. And being able to share a few minutes with you to talk about that is even better. But let's get into it. Obviously, there's been an evolution of the grid league. It went from the MPGL to the Florida Grid League to now what's called the United Grid League.
Mhm.
It failed early on, and I don't know how much of the story that you know, but it failed due to really just having a huge grandiose idea, and they just couldn't financially back it. But
Right.
then over time, their regional Florida Grid League took hold, and now it's branched outside of Florida into Atlanta and Houston and possibly other areas in the near future. But with you, what is the excitement? How do you feel about this evolution of the sport and the growth that it's shown over the past? Is there still, because I've talked to some people like years ago,
Mhm.
and there was still some concern as to, well, where is it going? But
Right.
now it seems like the direction is pretty stable. So I'll
Yeah.
ask you, like, how do you feel as far as the growth of the league?
Well, I am aware of kind of how things have transpired over the years, and I think for me, just this being my first season, I'm excited about it. Just the reason behind it, and the reason that I'm still, doing. Everybody does CrossFit, but I think I have kind of like changed my mindset about the competitive side of things, and I love grid because you don't have to be this elite level top tier athlete to get some kind of spotlight or get like, oh, they every like if you do something decently well in grid, you're going to get some type of exposure. And I think for me, because I'm not the best CrossFit athlete, I'm a strong mother freaker, you better believe that. Like, I can throw some weights around, but I have, some holes in my game that I just feel like I'm just not really gonna ever really work that hard to make them super super strengths of mine. So for me, I'm excited to of where grid is going, and I'm looking forward to kind of the future of it and what's to come.
Yeah, there's a growing. Obviously, there's now a team in Atlanta. Defending champions. Got to give them some credit there.
Yep.
And a team now that's going to be new to the 2025 season in Houston.
Hmm.
Um, what are the expectations with a larger league? Do you feel like it's going to pull talent away, or do you think it's going to unlock potential talent in other areas?
Oh man, I think it's going to blow up because, the new team in Houston, I know personally, Elia Miller, she and I met her at Power Monkey Fitness Camp, and she is a beast. And it's like, I know all the athletes that have just been signed to that team are amazing athletes. And I just think that people are starting to hear more about it, see more about it. And then the growth of it is just going to open up doors of opportunity for more athletes. And I think the league is just going to get stronger. It's going to grow, and it's just going to get more exposure.
Yeah. When you're having people, and I don't know where I saw this figure, but there's a misconception about, the grid league is that, all the players live in similar, like in the area that for the team that they play on, but that's
Yeah.
really not the case. I mean, you've got people traveling, from all over to come and play on certain teams, and there's remote coaching and remote practices that is happening. And it
Yep.
blew my mind when I first talked to Dan Hornaday of
Mhm.
the Palm Beach Breakers. He was telling me, one of the biggest challenges, but it's also a gift too, is being able to have remote athletes, remote practice.
Yeah.
And like, I still can't wrap my head around how difficult that must be to communicate and do all that. But I mean, when you have the ability in a sport to do that,
Yes.
that's so advantageous, because it's not like, name me another professional sport where it's not like in the NFL you can attend practice virtually. No, you're gonna
Right.
get fined and
Exactly. You're out of here.
I mean, could you imagine Lamar Jackson being like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit. I'll zoom in for this.
Exactly. Send
I'll
me my
zoom in for this
workouts
guy.
and I'll get on the TV or the camera.
Right,
Get on the
right.
computer.
But your journey, how do you get into grit? I mean,
Oh,
obviously it seems like when you talk to people, the natural transition, from CrossFit, you kind of like, they overlap, the
yeah.
lives overlap. So, but for you, how did you find grit?
Well, I have been looking or watching. I used to watch on YouTube the old Grid League because Elijah Muhammad is one of my good friends, and we talked about it. And then when I had watched just videos and like the matches, and I was just in awe of the sport. Like, what is this? And Taylor, my coach currently, she was, I saw her teams and the things that she did, and I was just like, I could possibly do something like this. I'm very interested, intrigued with it. I can move my body very fast. And I knew that this could be something I would be interested in. So I actually sent her a DM out of the blue last season and was just like, before the season started, and we were chit-chatting, and she was just like, you got some big ones, girl, coming up in my DMs, and I was like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do, but I'm interested in this, and I'm not sure, what you think of me. And so she started following me on social media, and she told me, from like, literally, she might have messaged me back a couple of days later and was like, do not message anyone else. Selfishly wanting to keep you for myself, and once the season kind of gets kicking up, we can kind of see if you really want to do this or not. And that was kind of how it started.
So where do you live right now? I know you're from
North
North
Carolina,
Carolina.
in Concord.
Oh, okay. So when
Yes.
we talk about remote, practice,
Yes.
you're a prime
I'm zooming
example of that.
in.
All right, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
What are the challenges? What are the challenges of remote practicing?
Oh
Do you
man.
and you can be honest now,
Yeah.
because I feel as though, and this is me personally, like, you're not getting outside of just being saying, yeah, I'm a part of the team and I'm attending practice. Like, is there a really benefit to being able to do it remotely?
So here's the thing. What I found out is a lot of teams do not even practice. Like, even if they are in closer
I heard that
proximity.
too, and
Me
I
too.
blew
I
my
was like,
damn
what?
mind.
Because
I
my team,
said, what?
yes, what my team did. So we had a group of people that were local in Florida, and they would come together on Sundays. I obviously, and a lot of my team practiced through Zoom. So Taylor was our virtual coach. She would send us our workouts and things that we would do. We would record it, send it in, and we would all be on Zoom on a Sunday together as a team, whether you were virtual or in person. And she would be like, this is what we've got going on. This is what we're doing. Get your stuff in. And we would have the week to kind of do our testers, send in our times. And that was how we did our practices every Sunday for the entire season.
So let's say this. All right. Help me understand this. So
Okay.
it's Sunday and the Aces all the Florida Aces are all together. They're at whatever box or gym that they're practicing at.
Yep.
Now, are you on a phone or on a computer with them watching, or you have okay?
Yes.
But
So
you're
we would
also
we would hop in. So Terry, our other coach, would be in person, and he would have all the players. They would have their little Zoom set up, their little camera with them in the practice, and then the virtual players would be on their own in their gyms, and we would all be just together chit chatting, and they would do things, and we would watch them. And because the lag, or it would be kind of it wouldn't be in real time. We would not actually test on the camera. But if she asked you, like, hey, Jazmin, and I'd run up to the camera and she'd be like, hey, can you test out such and such? Send this time in. And it's just like, yeah, it needs to be 3 seconds faster. And I'm like, 3 seconds faster? That's as fast as I can do it. Like we'd be going back and forth.
I mean, when you're talking about grid and like seconds are like eternities. Like, so when you say 3 seconds,
listen, exactly.
Come on.
She had high expectations. And I'm like, girl, listen, I'm going to do my best.
So she probably just wanted it to be like a 1.5 seconds faster. And she's like, I'm just going to say 3.
Right.
That way, when she hits 2, it's going to be right where we need her to be.
But like for real, when we did the very first match, we had the back squats at 210. At 10 back squats. And I don't even know what my time was at that point, but she was like, no, really, it needs to be 3 seconds faster. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. But of course I did. About killed me. but I did it.
When you get, all right, so when you're used to training, all right, let's say back squats, obviously your hip distance and your foot distance and like how you set up for the squat is a certain way all the time, especially when you train. But now if you're wanting to go 3 seconds faster, are you like widening your squat? Are you shortening your range of like what are you doing? And seems like it could be detrimental at some point to like go, all right, I'm going to do this way different than what I normally do it, but I got to get 3 seconds faster.
Listen, so for me, it was because I have a torn meniscus in my right knee, and then I have like tendonitis in my left knee. So I have to wear knee sleeves, and I was just being a little more cautious at the bottom. I wasn't just like bottoming out, like, slamming down, but I just went for the gusto, and I just like my foot stance kind of stayed the same. And she was telling me to like thrust open my hips and open my shoulders back so you could see the lockout, because if you're not completely locked out, they're going to no rep you. So it was the hips open, shoulders back, and hit that bottom of that squat, and do not think, just squat.
Taylor said, you have a perfectly fine meniscus in the other knee. You're okay. You'll be all right.
Listen, I do, but the tendonitis is just as bad as the meniscus.
I bet this cold weather is not going to help either. So
no way.
better be warming up. 2024 season. All right. Walk me through it from start to finish, your perspective. Obviously, maybe a little bit different from a personal standpoint than a team standpoint, because you were the rookie of the year, and you were an all-star. So with that, like, you're going to personally have a great season. But talk me through the personal aspect, but also the team aspect. Was it a success? Was it something to still be left a bitter taste in your mouth? What's the feel?
Man, personally and team wise, this was the absolute best decision that I could have ever made doing grid. I had a lot of things personally going on in my life that I was in the dumps emotionally, mentally, even spiritually at times. And this team, these people, this sport, having something to look forward to on the weekends to come together. And I'm like almost emotional, so forgive me, but this is exactly what I needed to help me get through 2024. So personally, the first match was a tragedy for our team, even for me, like, I mean, I was in a lot of races in that first match, and they kind of saw like, okay, I think I was in like 7 of 9. I'm not gonna lie. And
Gee.
it was a disaster for me. And they knew like, okay, we need to kind of revamp things and kind of see where the sweet spots were. But because of what was required in those matches, I could do a lot of those skills, and they just needed to put me in certain things. So like aerials, I had an aerial, and Janet was injured at the time, so I had to do the aerials, and then the handstand walk to the clean, and then I did the mirror, and I did the first thing. Like, I mean, it was so many things, and I just thought maybe grit isn't for me because I sucked the first match. Like, I wanted to quit. I was so bad.
Well, it's like you're only being able to, because you're doing so much, if it makes sense, you're only being able to operate at like 70%, when if you
For sure.
cut down to like 4 or 5, you might could
Exactly.
operate at 90 to 100%.
And there you go.
Um, you know, when you get asked to do aerials, you're channeling your gymnastics and your cheerleading days. Like,
Yeah.
when was the last time you did an aerial
Oh my
before this
Lord.
season?
Oh, probably 15 years ago.
Man, and so they ask you to do it. Are you like, they probably were like, look, you're the closest thing we got. Like,
Listen, it
we
was
know you
funny.
could do this.
And she
It's
asked
deep
me, and
down there, but we know.
right. Well, and it was funny because she kept asking because I told her I could do them, but I would test them out a little bit, like in a practice, and I didn't realize, I mean, 40 feet is not a lot of feet to do aerials in, especially because I was just like running really far. And so when I sent the videos in, she was like, okay, those are awesome. We need to cut them into making sure that you can fit them all in 40 feet. So I ended up having to go back and forth instead of just going straight through. But I knew I could do them. I was just like, I'm trying to save my knees, my Achilles, and all the other joints that are not happy with me doing these aerials at 40, almost 40 years old.
Man, see, here's where you and I differ. If somebody asked me to do something like, I don't know, I could throw a baseball, but if they said get on the mound and relive your college glory days because you were a pitcher and we know you could do it, I know that I would hurt myself, and I know it would be bad. And so, like, for you to get out there and do it, and not only do it, you do it well, like,
Thank
shout out,
you. Thank
shout
you.
out.
Thank you.
So getting back to the success of the
Yes.
season, obviously, you mentioned talking about that first meet and how it was not as what you expected. How did things change?
So from the first match, because I obviously was not completely aware of the recovery time that it took in between races, how I mean, when you're doing something for 10 seconds, you're like, okay, this is not, I mean, in practice, I'm going and going and going. But in a match, oh my God, like I'm freaking laid out on the side, like dead. And like, I don't think I can keep going. But then as, we get back to the drawing board, she kind of reevaluate certain things, and then it was like the sweet spot for me was 4 or 5. And after that first match, and she was like, no, you're made for this, you can do this, we're so proud of you. And she literally like just poured into me so much encouragement that the first match, yes, we asked a lot of you and you did not fail. You actually succeeded because of just you getting through it. You pushed yourself, you did everything that was asked of you and more for this team. And I mean, I even like pulled my hamstring in the first match. So I had Achilles tendonitis that I was working through, pulled a hamstring.
Them aerials.
Exactly. The aerials tore me up. And so after the first match, we get to the second, I start kind of getting in my groove, and it just started feeling better and better. And, the second match was great. 4 or 5 races was my sweet spot. And then as we get through the season, I was building confidence. And I remember like every time we had the ladders, I never missed a ladder. I was, or missed a weight in the ladder, hit every bar that I was supposed to. And then just, there were some mistakes, obviously, like it's so fast moving, you just end up making mistakes, but it's how you recover. And I had the best people. I'm telling you, like, I don't know if I would have been able to complete the season the way that I did if it weren't for Taylor, Terry, and my team. Like, they literally held me up and kept me in the best emotional and like mental space, because I was really struggling with a lot of things personally. And it was the best decision.
You know, you talk about in very very high regard Taylor and what she does, as a coach. Being someone I've never met her, but I will say this: I feel like I know her just because of every all the positive things that people say about her.
Yes.
There's not a single person that I have met that has one, bad thing to say, and they're always great stories, like you just mentioned about, just motivating and propping you up and supporting you
Yeah.
and being, the person that is going to be tell you what you need to hear, and it may not be the way that you want it, but it's what you need to get better. And
100%.
what does it mean, just knowing her, but also being on a team where she's the coach, and not only the coach, but she is an athlete too.
Yeah. So it's just hard to put all of the things that are great about her in this short period of time, or this short, like, this podcast, because I could talk about her for days, because she is so inspirational. She cares, she is strong, and she is just encouraging. I was every single match. I- People don't know this, but I struggle with my confidence. Like, I've always struggled with self-confidence, like, things. I know I'm strong. I know I can do certain things, but like when you're put in the fire to go, it's like, can I really do this? And she never second guessed me. She never questioned my worth to the team, my abilities. And she is literally one of the greatest athletes I've ever had the honor of knowing, because it's not just her athleticism and what she can do, but it's the person. And she always told me this because I went back and forth. Actually, after we talked about me actually doing grid, I decided, like, I was like, I don't know if I can afford this. Like, cause I mean, we pay to do grid, unless you
Mhm.
have, backing and all the things. And thankfully I had some incredible sponsors that came through for me. But she and I talked probably for 3 or 4 months, because I wasn't going to do it. And when I made the decision to join, it was after I had emergency surgery in February. So I actually had surgery in February that took me out of the open, because I was going to try to go to the CrossFit Games as a master's athlete. But then, first day of the open, I was in the hospital having surgery. So then she had reached back out to me and was like, "Hey, last ditch effort. Are you want to do grid?" And I was like, "Yes, I want to do grid." So it's crazy how it all happened. But she is just a phenomenal person. And she always told me this: we pick players or people that we want to recruit off of the people and the person that they are first, and then talent is after that. And I truly agree with her, because our team is we are a team of good people. It's like, yes, everyone is talented, but we have heart. We love one another, and it's all about the team aspect and people first, and then everything else.
Yeah. It's so weird that you see yourself every day. You know what your capabilities are, but it takes someone else to be like, "I believe in you more than you believe in yourself." And that's it's a humbling trait to have, but it's also like something that, like, deep down in people, like, it's hard to understand, like, how do you get to that point? But I think it's a pretty normal occurrence. So when you say, like, it took her to, like, give you the motivation and confidence, I would say, like, I get it. I
Yeah,
understand. Um so obviously the season, you guys get to a point where you have a last regular season match to get you into the playoffs. The playoffs, you get in, and then you take on basically a juggernaut of a team. So talk to me about the playoffs. Was it what you expected? Was it the team that you were expecting to go against? Did it go the way that you wanted to?
absolutely. I think so with the Lions, when we had to compete against them on the first match, it was almost bittersweet, because when we had to join forces in the Vegas match, like, we became friends. And it was so awesome, like, being able to compete on the same team with those athletes, because they're amazing, with Eric Cardona and Paul Aleos, like, when we were competing against them, and then we had to, or competing with them, and then we competed against them, it was like, dang, but we got to do what we have to do.
It's
So
hard to like somebody one week and then not like them the next,
right.
especially like I would like I've been in situations where that's happened, and it's like, man, it would be so much harder to like not like you if you were just a bad person. Like, could you
Exactly.
just be a bad person? But they're not. They're just so nice people, and it's
Yes.
like, God,
Yeah. So that made it challenging to go up against them after we had just joined forces the match before, had a good time. We became friends. So we had to, do what we had to do, which thankfully we did, which got us into the semifinals. And then we compete against the Wild, which we had already competed against the Wild, I think twice. This was our third time, I think, competing against the Wild. And so we knew that they were going to come out very strong. Like they were ready. They had their mindset to freaking tear us to shreds. And
oh, and they didn't have to beat themselves up the day before trying to get in, and that you know,
exactly.
that
And
that plays a toll.
it does. And and I hate it, but I hate that we had dug ourselves such a deep ditch in our first match that, it didn't really pan out well for us to have to compete 3 times in a weekend. But it was what it was. It was our fault for not pulling through that first match. So that match, it was hard because, we lost due to an error with a player that we didn't sub out on the roster. And so, I mean, we technically lost because of our own doing. It wasn't
Yeah.
that we weren't good enough. It wasn't that we weren't, you know, we would have won that match if it weren't for that. So that hurt really bad. And it still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. But I mean, it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason, and I think it will light a fire under every single person that decides to come back next season, and it will give us the mindset that like we have to go in the beginning strong, and we can't just kind of ride off of the past season, because I feel like that was what our team unfortunately did. It was like our first match, people were like, yeah, we just won the championship. So, not that they didn't put the effort in, because I'm pretty sure we did, but it was the mindset behind that first match that I think kind of dug us that ditch from the beginning in the ditch.
When you're the defending champ, the great thing is you have a lot of confidence. The bad
Mhm.
thing is everyone's out to get you. The target,
Absolutely.
like you're gonna get everyone's best effort no matter what, just because they want to see where they lie. Like
Yeah.
what is our baseline right now, especially like in a match like in coming out the gate against the Wild.
Right.
Um, but it's got to be motivating, like you said. It leaves a nice little bitter taste in your mouth for what's next. So
Mhm.
let's talk about what's next. It is the re-signing period, and I think it's going to come to a close here soon.
Mhm.
But for you, what are you doing next year? Are you re-signing? Are you a free agent? Are you gonna go Masters, CrossFit Games? What are we doing?
So I have talked to my coach, and she's retired now. She is retired, and she
Yeah,
is no
right.
longer.
Yeah, right.
No, for real. She's serious this time. She's retiring from coaching. She's retiring from competing. However, so me and Janine, her beloved girlfriend, have gotten so close. The three of us are like, we call ourselves the bad and the bougie, okay? Because Janine is bougie and me and Taylor are bad. Now, wherever
Well,
Janine
that's good
decides,
because I got Janine coming on in a couple in a week or so. So I'm
ask
gonna
her
ask
about
her.
that.
I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna say, look, I ain't throwing no names out there, but somebody say you're a little bougie.
Little, listen, she got to tell you about her bouginess. So wherever she is going, I will follow. And that was what I told Taylor, because we had some different conversations, and I don't really even really want to share kind of what's in the works with our team, but there's some things that are kind of transpiring, and I'm not even 100% sure what is going to happen. I know I am resigning wherever Janine is going. I'm going where she's going, because I know Taylor is going to be right there somewhere around. So that is what I'm doing.
Obviously, there's going to be combine, there's going to be different things, the season's going to be here before you know it. When do we expect to know like what this change might be?
You know what?
Tomorrow, 2 days from now, 2
Listen,
weeks from
I wish I could tell you because I don't
you
even
know
know.
what? I'm gonna ask Bougie Janine when she comes on here.
She will know because she is attached to the goat herself. So she should have more info than I do, unfortunately. But as I said, wherever Bougie goes, the bad will follow.
Hey, you can't just be bad without bougie, and you
Thank
can't be bougie
you.
without bad. So
Listen, when I tell you this season, like the three of us, we have developed such a tight knit relationship, and I'm just grateful that I met those two women, and I'm excited about what's next. Like I honestly am not 100% sure of what it is, but whatever it is, I'm in. I'm all in.
all right. So obviously with grit, we know you're all in.
Yeah.
What about CrossFit Games? Masters. You mentioned it last year or last year you wanted to compete as a master
Yes.
and try to go to the games. So is that the intention this year? Because I'm hopefully right about this. Is there's no unforeseen surgeries coming up that's going to prevent that?
Right. Well, I feel like because I have kind of
Are you going to do the? Let's start with this. Are you going to do the open?
I'm not.
Okay, so that's
I'm not. Let me just say this: I'm not planning on doing the open. I might be. Someone might change my mind, and I might just say, you know what, whatever. What might as well try. But my focus right now is not CrossFit. You know, trying to get to the games. It was at one point, but I could do both. I really could. I just am. I don't think that I'm interested anymore.
I hear you. There's a that's definitely the CrossFit space is definitely a conversation for another day because
For
there's a
sure.
lot that we could digest with that.
Yeah. And I have some friends that are very, very just amazing athletes that have been to the games in the Masters division, and just the cost and the energy and just what is involved behind getting there. I'm like, is it really worth it? I don't know. I mean, so that's kind of where I am.
I mean, you are currently the rookie of the year and an all-star in a different league. I mean, you could just roll with that.
Exactly. It's fun.
I
Listen,
mean,
good is
just
fun.
us regular folks, we don't have those accolades.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
it's I like looking on the leaderboard saying I'm 67,000 out of 2 million people. That's my claim to fame right there.
Exactly. Listen, and I mean, when I did do the open, I actually made age group and whatever, which was, I think it was easier at that point. I just was like, oh, I'm good.
I'm not gonna let you say that because it ain't. You might in your head it might have been easier, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for
Okay.
nobody.
I think I just,
You earned
it's the
that.
confidence thing. I'm like, I'm good. I just, we'll pass on that. So.
All right. So last thing before we let you get out of here, New Body Fitness. What is New Body?
New Body is a strength and conditioning gym, and I have been a part of that for since 2010.
Right. All right.
Yeah,
See,
2010.
I had to do the math, and I'm not my math don't math sometimes, but I'll just say this: that's a long time.
It is a long time. It is a very long time.
I mean, is that the forever plan? You
Um,
what?
you know, currently I have transitioned to I am coaching now at a gymnastics and cheerleading facility because coaching cheerleading has been my passion since I was in college. And I stepped away from that to go down the fitness path, coaching in the, fitness industry and all that for a long time. I just got tired of waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and coaching.
Hey, I was a level 2 coach, and I did those 5 a.m. classes
Listen,
for a long time, and now don't get me wrong, like it had its benefits,
for sure.
but like now, like I'd rather wake up, walk out in my garage, and be done at 6:30 so I can get the kids up and get them
Yes,
going. I don't want to
100%.
drive across town sleepy-eyed and
Listen,
trying to.
I've done that for a very long time, and I am transitioning into just back to coaching cheerleading, and that has been my passion. I am a manager at a gym, a cheerleading gym, and I love it. I love that. That's kind of where I am kind of transitioning to now.
Taylor, you hear that? She's gonna be practicing aerials all the time. All the time. Y'all get
All
ready.
the time. Actually, so they don't know that, which they do know, that I have more skills and tricks up my sleeve. I'm like, look, I'm glad we had Janet this season, but I'm gonna have to get, because depending on next season, I don't know. She had some injuries and things, but like back tuck burpees, I can do all that. I had to do the back handsprings in the last match, but my Achilles just doesn't like all that on a hard surface. So I'm like, if I don't
I don't
have to
blame
do
you.
it,
I
I ain't
went to a
doing it.
trampoline park last weekend and I'm still hurting.
Right. The body don't recover. It needs time.
And so for me, like, there's one thing about me, like, I might go to a trampoline park, but I'm gonna do some dumb shit, and it's only because I'll be damned if I let my 7-year-old daughter show me up on
Oh,
anything.
she gonna try.
She's doing flips and backflips, and I'm doing it all. So whatever she does, I'm doing too. So
Exactly. And then you need
you
a week and a half to 2 to
know,
get back to normal.
I'm still struggling, but Jazmin, congratulations on a spectacular 2024 season. Obviously, Rookie of the Year, All-Star for the United Grid League. Whatever the future holds, obviously, you got high expectations. I mean, I don't know. Is there, now that you've won those two accolades, is there any pressure moving forward? Is it like put this stigma on you, like you have to
Yeah.
compete at a higher level, or like?
I mean, I think so. I think there's that underlying pressure of you came out swinging in season 1, so you need to hold that standard and keep it moving for season 2. And I think that's kind of where I am mentally. It's like, okay, I want to come out strong, just as strong as I did in season 1 was a little scary first match, but I know kind of how things are working, how it all comes together, and I will be prepared to come out swinging on season 2.
Let's go. Well, hey, it's been a blast. I appreciate you coming on. If there's anything you need from us along the way, please reach out. And
I appreciate
hopefully,
you.
hey, I love this, man. This is my passion, talking about fitness
I
and
can
grid
tell.
and CrossFit, all that. But hopefully you guys have a magical season. We'll bring you back on. We'll recap it and talk about it. And hopefully by then we know what the Orlando Aces look like and where Jazmin Simpson is and what that all looks like. So
Yeah.
anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
Oh gosh. I just want to thank all my sponsors for helping me this season. It's too many to name, but they know who they are. And I'm very thankful that they were able to just help me through the season financially, because it is not cheap to do grid. And my season was completely taken care of. So thank you to all of my sponsors, my coaches, my family, and just people that were supportive of me this season, because I don't know that I would have made it without the encouragement and support of all the people holding me up this season. So
All of them, not one, not two, all of them.
all
All
of
of them.
them.
It takes a village. I
Exactly.
tell you. All right, that is Jazmin Simpson, everybody. If you like hearing Jazmin's story, or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. As always, remember, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, loves. We'll take it all. Head over to YouTube here in a few minutes. You'll see this episode uploaded. You'll be the first to know if you click the like, you click the notifications, you click the subscribe button. And you can check out all the glorious content that we've uploaded. Got a lot of gymnastics content up. Got a lot of college baseball on the way and a ton of grid stuff. So y'all go check it out. We'll be back tonight. We got big episodes this week, so check them out. This has been the In Off the Bench podcast, Grid and Grind Show. Strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.